You know, there are a lot of most dangerous man or men in the world. There is no one most dangerous man anymore. There is Putin, there is Trump, there is Xi of China, there's Modi of India. There are a bunch of most dangerous men in the world because the four I just named, well, the orange bastard in this country, not right now, but for 4 years, he controlled the launch codes of nuclear weapons. And the other three still control those. There are other countries that have nuclear weapons, but I'm talking about the dictator types like Trump would like to be. Well, guess what? Now I read that there is a most dangerous woman in the world. No, not someone I've been married to. Nuh-uh. A North Korean expert said that Kim Jong Un's sister, Kim Jong Un being, you know, the roly-poly dictator of North Korea, his sister, Kim Yo Jong, is the most dangerous woman in the world. This person said, this person is Sung-Yoon Lee, a professor at the Fletcher School at Tufts University in this country. She said, quote, "I argue that Kim Yo Jong today is indeed the most dangerous woman in the world in all of Korean history, perhaps world history." I'm sorry, the man I'm quoting is a man, not a woman. He went on, quote, "Although she is relatively young, she turns 36 at the end of September, she is a woman who brings, of course, a softer image to the brutish, chauvinistic, male-dominated facade of her nation. She is to be taken very seriously." Now, this guy I'm quoting is the author of the book called The Sister. The book tracks Yo Jong's rise to power as the de facto deputy to Kim Jong Un, you know, the insane roly-poly who runs North Korea. Apparently, she made her first public appearance in 2011 with her father, Kim Jong II, who's now dead, but she remained in the background pretty much until she appeared at the Winter Olympics in South Korea in 2018. And months later, she accompanied her brother, roly-poly, to a summit with South Korean President Moon Jae-in. And most recently, she went with her roly-poly brother to Russia for the meeting with the Russian murderer, Vladimir Putin. And ahead of the meeting between the leaders of North Korea and Russia, sister visited the Vostochny Cosmodrome. I'm sorry. Now, analysts have identified Kim Yo Jong as a possible successor to her brother. And Professor Lee, the one I quoted a minute ago, believes she may serve as a regent to her brother's rumored children until they're old enough to take power, even if that creates some tension. Because from the little bit that I've read about this woman, she is not going to share power with anybody. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised to see, what would it be called, fratricide, where roly-poly dies of a massive coronary or something. Right. Professor Lee acknowledged that if there is, quote, some tension with the auntie, then she will remember the bitter cold winter of 2013 when she and her brother had their uncle executed. End quote. Remember that? That's when the uncle that I guess roly-poly was afraid of, roly-poly had the uncle executed with an anti-aircraft cannon. Do you remember that? That completely blew my mind. They tied this poor bastard to a stake and about 50 yards away had an anti-aircraft cannon lowered to the point where it was just about level with the poor uncle's belly, and then fired it. And whatever was left over after this execution was slid into an envelope and mailed to uncle's wife, I guess. Anyway, back to this about the most dangerous woman in the world. She and her brother have seemed to increasingly cooperate over the years, according to people who are keeping an eye on this. Starting with that assassination of her uncle. And remember why he was executed? The real reason, of course, I think had to do with fear, but the official reason was he had, quote, half-heartedly clapped, end quote, while in the presence of roly-poly. Now, that's just one I've read of the several crimes for which state media accused him of using what was described by North Korean media as an arrogant action that touched off, quote, towering resentment of our service personnel and people. End quote. Yeah, the people who were eating grass and bark from trees in order to stay alive, they were beset with towering resentment because this old fucker didn't clap enthusiastically enough for roly-poly. Yeah. Now, back to Sister. Following her public debut in South Korea, I guess at the Olympics, she has made some rather bold declarations on behalf of her brother and his government. She has issued 40 written statements, as well as ordering the destruction of a joint liaison office located in North Korean territory, liaison between North and South. None of that shit, right? Professor Lee explained that this authority in her, because of her birth, is particularly troubling since it likely gives her authority, maybe even on a par with her brother, over the country's nuclear weapons arsenal, to which, according to Professor Lee, she referred in a couple of statements last year when threatening South Korea if it, quote, fired even a single bullet inside North Korean territory, end quote. Well, a single bullet would unleash nuclear hell, according to this crazy witch, bitch, whatever. Professor Lee added this, quote, we have never seen this in North Korea, in Korean history, in world history. A female co-despotess, I guess that's a female despot, a female co-leader of criminal regime issuing nuclear threats and saying, I have the authority to nuke you, a peaceful, democratic, neighboring state of South Korea, end quote. All right, that's enough. I can't do any more of this. It's making me feel like I have to go outside and run around the neighborhood for a while. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.